Bitcoin just hit 44,500 and it's on its way back up. Alts are absolutely pumping. But is this the time where we start to moon, or are we about to see a massive fake out? Now, what I'm looking at here right now is Bitcoin about to go on a massive pump? Well, guess what? We still have conflicting things happening on the chart. For example, our Chico span is still underneath the candlestick. So we're kind of in this point, I'll just click on this right here, kind of the point where we're just underneath the candles, and in let's say in 3 or 4 days, we'd be above. So that would turn bullish. That would be a good confirmation. But we had this bearish TK cross happen around the January 29th to January 31st, and it's now, Tenkin is now below. Now it's starting to kind of hook up a little bit, but it's not something that's giving me full-on confirmation. The cloud and the 21 EMA acted as support. Just like these lines you guys see as support, where we usually bounce off price and start to go back up, as you saw in the past over here and over here and over here, we now see that we are breaking above support. So we're seeing that 44,500 level kind of broke us into just above it, and now we're kind of just a little bit above. So maybe it could fake out, break out, and break back down. So I'm being very cautious. So as you see on my chart, I did expect us to come down to around 30,000, potentially going from an edge to edge in the cloud. And even if it took another few days, we could do that. But here's the other confliction. The Chico span would be above the candles if that happened in a week. And then we'd have another conflicting span. So when we're not too sure what to do, doing nothing is the best trade. So for Bitcoin right now, if you were going to take an action step, the best action is none at all. And why I would say that is if you're already in Bitcoin and you don't really know when to enter, this might be a time where you're going to fake out or you're going to break down. So be very careful when you're doing this. I expected the market pump to come after Chinese New Year, but we really haven't seen a dump yet. And that might be because of all the GBTC getting sucked up by BlackRock and the other ETFs. Bitcoin is now in a place where we are at an indecision point. So waiting another week is probably the best thing to do before jumping in on anything and then getting screwed. On to ETH. Ethereum, similar type of chart, indecision. It's above the candlesticks here, but could go below for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So we got above the candlesticks here, which would be bullish, but we're going to run in underneath unless we go above $2,600 on ETH. So that's kind of an issue. We did see the cloud like I showed you in Bitcoin. So remember, the cloud is a moving support or resistance. So here we see it's support. It bounced off the cloud. It bounced off the cloud. So it didn't go below and into the cloud. So we didn't have that confirmation. We did have a bearish TK cross right around the same time as Bitcoin. And we're starting to see it level off and hook a little bit up in a predictor mochi, which predicts where the price will go in the next few days. What I would do here is still I would wait. And I know it sounds kind of weird because the Chico span would then give me a bull or bear sign. I'm not going to really know what I should do. And the Chico span is actually the number one thing in the Ichimoku strategy that gives you the indication to go in or not go in, because it's your last piece of the puzzle. Watching this right now, I would say if you're an ETH, sit back, relax, go to the beach, have a coffee, go have a lunch with your wife before the bull market starts, because the next 500 days of your life are going to be life-changing for almost every single person watching this video. So Ethereum, chill, wait, just see where we're going to go next. It's better to do nothing than something and then get faked out, and this could very much happen. But good news is I'm not as scared anymore for you guys at home who might get emotional, because I'm starting to see we're getting a little bit more bullish signs and a little bit less bearish signs. But when we're neutral, we do nothing. Here's a sexy trade, guys. BNB. Talked about BNB being on this downtrend, and we were like, I think around here before I went to Satoshi Roundtable. So it was really at an indecision point. It wasn't breaking out, and now we're seeing we're breaking out of that downtrend. This would be called a breakout trade. So if you're not a breakout trader, you'll never see me talk about it too much, but this is a type of trade where we're in a downtrend for a while. You see it keep tapping the same way as we tap for our boner candles, but we get boner candles on a diagonal support or resistance level. So this was acting as a diagonal resistance, as you can clearly see, almost like a bull flag, if you may say, and we broke out. So if you missed this trade, let's say, or you usually would want to buy the breakout, that is not a problem, because here's the thing you do in trading. You either buy the breakout when it actually happens, or if you miss it, you buy the retest. So generally all you have to look for, and it's very simple. So here's what we generally are going to wait for this trade. We're going to wait for it to come and retest this triangle. And generally if it retests it and it's not a fake out, it will go to the next level higher. So BNB might be a great trade, but if you're not in it, wait for the retest. There's many memes on this too, where it's like, oh bro, wait up a second here, wait for that retest. So this is what a good trader would do. If you go in now and it is a fake out breakout and Bitcoin is a fake out breakout, you would end up stuck. Try to use your discipline and wait for the actual setup to be there for yourself. Make the price come to you. All the best traders in the world always talk about this. Buy at the price that you want to buy, and if it doesn't come there, just avoid that trade and wait for the next one. This is a great example of it. All the factors of us potentially going bullish, but again, if we were trading the Ichimoku here, our Chiku span might be in a position where maybe you want to wait a little bit longer because it's just a bit above the candles. And if we waited a week and it went a bit higher and then broke above, we would also be much more confident. This is a great opportunity. If you're not using the Ichimoku, I would literally be just doing this trade as a breakout. So it's a good opportunity. Next up is Solana. I talked about Solana breaking up right before Satoshi Roundtable. We saw that breakout. It didn't even come back to that breakout, but now we have other levels of support. We have the 21 EMA, which is the 21-day moving average. That's actually been acting as support. So has the Tenkin and so has the Kijin. So they're all kind of tightly wound up. And when you have support that's tightly wound up, it's really, really hard to break those levels. So if you ever see like a bunch of EMAs or MAs, which are basically the moving averages or the exponential moving averages, really pretty similar, a little bit different. There's also a WMA, but basically all these averages or moving averages are support levels, right? Prices likes to go down to them and bounce. So if you have all these compacted really tightly, it's very hard to push the price super hard down. So you always see those are buying areas. Many people with different strategies are going to be looking to buy in those areas. So knowing that, you have a lot less chances of getting wrecked. Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing that boner kind of from that Tenkin is starting to break up, and we have potentially a bullish TK cross coming on this chart. And all we have to do is click on our horizontal vertical line and go, well, maybe it'll happen around the 14th of February. So maybe Valentine's Day will be Solana Day. It might be a nice one. All right, so keep your eyes on that. I would definitely be someone who'd be keeping very keen lookout for it. And actually, if you guys go here, when we broke out on Solana, look what it did. It retested the breakout level right there. Broke out, retest, started moving back up. This is not 100% go in right now because Chiku span is just into the candlesticks. But again, maybe on the 14th of February will be happy Solana Day. Obviously, Solana went down yesterday. People got freaked out. At Satoshi Roundtable, give you guys a little piece of mind here. Most of the biggest fund managers, billionaires, were talking about Solana being one of the ones that they were really bullish on. Keep that in mind. Quickly to Injective. Injective is giving us mixed signals. It's still bearish in the Chiku. It still has like this potential bearish TK cross coming with the Tenkin being similar. It's going to stay straight, but we're seeing this in the next few days. Our Kijin coming up. We're inside of the cloud, which is turbulence on an airplane. You know, we go up and down. It's kind of scary. So we don't go into those trades unless we're sure we're over the cloud and we're bullish, under the cloud we're bearish. So this is one where if you're in it and you love it, stick with it. Don't do anything, right? Another great example of that. One that's been extremely bullish. I've been talking about this for a while after it had a Kijin bounce trade. Now that Kijin bounce trade I talked about is all the way up, almost 60%. Not so bad, is that? But everyone said, oh, coach, it's not an all-time high, but I don't really count all-time highs when they're the moonshot candle from when it launches. It's just bots and stuff that buy it, or it's just people on the exchange or the exchange itself trying to exit liquidity on you guys, which is what they generally do. So looking at Sui, I'm really just trying to figure out where is it going to go next. We did draw those levels before. Using the trend-based favorite extension, we can just look from the low to the high recently. We'll just do that. See, where are we going to go next from here? Remember, that's 1618 level, so that $2.06 level to $2.71 level. Remember, we do have all the way until June. That's what I'd be looking at. It's holding this one really nice at $1.50. Remember, it could come down and retest lower levels, so I'm being wary. Sui is in a great spot, and Sui Pad, just going off of that, also in a great spot. It's kind of at this resistance level right now, but it's got a really nice chart. I would like to see it break out in the next few days so that our Chiku span stays bullish. But we have a Tenkin above our Kijin. We're above the cloud. All signs look good. And Sui Pad already distributed, I believe, almost all, if not all, their tokens because I got all my tokens already from Sui Pad. So I guess that everyone else has. With how fast their IDO filled up on their launch pad recently and how much hype there was going into it, I'm pretty bullish on that. And here's another good example of top of the Kumo acting as support. Not only with top of the Kumo in both of these examples, we had Kijin bounces as well on those exact same levels. And as you saw, when we get that Kijin bounce, we went up 90% from there. And remember, your lower level would be just below the cloud. So if we're doing risk reward on a trade and we wanted to go long off that level, just as an educational moment for how do you trade, where do you put your stop? I would have put my stop a little bit below the cloud and I would have been aiming for around at minimum minimum here, the recent top from before. So that would have been a 4.86R trade. These are the type of trades that we are actually looking for to get into. Anything above 3 times your money is a great trade. Even 2.5 is okay, but try to always go for 3 times more than you can lose. Even if you're not a great trader, if you let the strategy work, you'll usually make more money than you lose. One I want to go back to and give you guys perspective on is Myria. Now, Myria is one of those coins where it's kind of in like a maybe it could go bullish and bear scenario as well. We're well below the cloud. You know, our Tenkin, and here's a great example when things ball up, right? So you got, I'll just draw this level in for you here. We have like this area where either we're going to act as support or act as resistance. So what I mean by that is before it was acting as support here and support here and support here and there, and then it came up and then went all the way to the bottom of the cloud and then it bounced back up. Thin clouds are not very good, just so you know. It means that the price could teeter above or below. It's like bullish, bearish, not a good thing, can be very neutral. We look at this and we go, okay, well, it's acting as support again over here, and now it's acting as resistance. So I talked about this at over 8 cents, right around where we were starting to break down, like, hey, it might be a good time to take some profit. We don't want to exit the whole position. The bull market's coming. Our Tenkin is way below our Kijin. And here's one thing that you don't understand if you do. If we get really, really far away from the Kijin Sin, the price likes to come back to equilibrium. Equilibrium is the part where the buyers and sellers are equal. Right now, there's way more sellers than buyers. So even though you're seeing this hook down, we easily could come to the bottom of the Kumo, which could act as resistance, but that would be an opportunity. Do I see this happening here all the way back down to that 0.005 level? Possible, but the longer that the market stays bullish, the less possible it is. So if we left that, we leave those orders there. If you're someone who wants to be a little bit less risk or more risk averse, so like don't want to miss the trade, you would look at this yellow line, which is a 200 EMA, and look to buy it. For me personally, I'd be looking to buy it at 6.1 or 0.00615. This is another one where we just do nothing if you're holding it. If you sold some, now you could potentially look to buy it back much cheaper. And if it doesn't do that and it starts to break out, look for another trade. This one I want to talk about because I talked about it following Bitcoin. And as you can see, it's following Bitcoin again. So stacks. One thing that means a very, very common theme that I kept hearing at the Satoshi Roundtable with the smartest minds in all of crypto, people you guys probably looked at and looked up to, I've been looking up to for years, they were all talking about stacks. All right, so it kind of felt like that anyways. And I was asking like why, and they were like, oh, it just makes Bitcoin easier to use, you know, the taproot, stacks, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, it's pretty interesting for me, to be honest, because I was like, all right, well, I talked about this level, we got a boner candle, we never really revisited it, 73 cents broke out, mooned, and look, we went above the Kijin Sin, and then it pulled it back down because we're too far away, and it bounced, the Kijin bounce trade right there, all the way up 24%. You may have gotten wicked out on this one, but if you use this simple theme, right, when you look at the wicks here, right, we just make our stop loss a little bit below it, then we would aim for that. So that's a 2.28R trade, not the greatest, but where would I be looking to go would have been right around this level here. As you can see, it acts as resistance. The 2.83R trade would have still been an okay trade to go into. If you are looking at how to trade, I don't give you guys financial advice. I give you the tools so you can start seeing it and doing it yourself. Now, where would stacks be going next? Where do we have conflicting signs? Only right here in the candlestick. So where I'd be looking to buy potentially would be in another 5 or 6 days. That kind of coincides with near the end of Chinese New Year, which would be good, a good place to look at grabbing it. If you're not in, that's okay. We did have a bullish TK cross on the 6th of February, so that's great. And now what we're looking for is that Chiku span to pop up of the candlesticks, and then we would be in a good territory for a potential long. I would be waiting here personally. We do have this level right here, which is acted as support and resistance already, so it's called an SR level. Whenever you hear a trader talk about an SR level, it means support or resistance or support resistance, okay? We could come and run up into that and then come back down and retest. So let's just wait a little bit on this one. Stacks is going to be one of those ones that I would be looking at heavily if I was you, because we don't hang out with a bunch of billionaires and $100 million funds for a whole entire week, and all they keep talking about is stacks this and stacks that and Bitcoin this and BRC that, and you don't pay any attention. This is one ecosystem, unlike BRC right now, that has a much higher chance of being successful because of the UI UX being much better and it being an older ecosystem. Should I be listening to people like this that are smarter than me? I think so.